Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Cinematic Realms. I'm your host, John Webster, and joining me is Chun Li. Oh wait, no, it's AK. Uh,
If only I could have credentials of Chun-Li. She is
uh,
the awesomest always.
yeah. Unfortunately, Blue Lemons can't join us tonight. Family emergency, but we miss her, and hopefully, when we come back to do Mortal Kombat, she'll be able to join us. The other half of this,
Indeed.
video game adaptation uh,
The horrible cheese that we
uh,
love.
that we're doing. Yeah, it's funny because as I was getting ready for the stream, I was like, I have no idea what shape this stream is going to take. Because I was rewatching this today,
Yep.
and I
I
was
had it on
just
today too.
yeah, and I was filled with two feelings. One was that I still got the same kind of giddy goofy enjoyment that I got
Mm-hmm.
out of it when I was a kid, and also I had to take a step back and be like, man, this is a strange movie.
There are so many things. Again, watching something with full adult eyes that have had life experience and analyzing, and this movie hits just slightly different than it did when we watched in high school. And it's not a bad thing. I just noticed certain things like, that's peculiar.
Yeah. Um, which we'll get to them all in good time. But I did want to start this off by putting up this picture. This is not mine, but I stole this from off the internet. It's a picture of the VHS of Street Fighter, which
Yep,
I
that's it right
decided
there.
I
Mm-hmm.
decided to get in lieu of just a straight image of the movie poster because it's a funny story, and I'm about to admit to taking part in piracy in this stream because I was in Michigan with my parents visiting my grandparents, and we went to I guess it was a flea market of some kind, and we got to this area where they were selling obvious bootleg movies because I snatched up a copy of this way like actually it may have been at the time that the VHS actually came out. You know what? Now I remember because back in those days when a movie came out on VHS, it wasn't available to buy right away. At least not some were. Like if it was like a Disney movie or
You
something
had they
like
had to
that.
have that time where they rented for a while.
Yeah. So I hadn't been able to buy a copy yet. And I'm going to talk about how anxious I was because I didn't just like this movie. I freaking loved it.
Loved it.
Um, but the reason why I still have the picture up is because the VHS copy I got that day did not look quite like this. The colors were far more extreme because it was a cop.
Define extreme.
Well, it was like it was the reds were pumped up a lot, and the quality was noticeably cheaper.
That tends
because
to happen.
yeah, because it was a uh, copied and printed, movie cover, and the the quality of the video itself was like it was pretty good, but like every time there was like an explosion or something, the picture would like lose its
Like
consistency
skew a little bit.
and yeah. So yeah, that's thank you for stopping in, guys.
Thank you, Laura.
I know Lauren Cade, sounds like you guys are recording an episode, which is only fair because I actually wasn't able to make it to watch your podcast last night, which I'm very I'm disappointed about, but I appreciate that you guys are still popping in, even as you're busy. So thank you. So anyway, so that's my story of obtaining a copy of Street Fighter, and I don't think I actually. It's so funny is I don't think I ever obtained a legitimate VHS copy. I held on to that sucker until it came out on DVD, and I did buy that. And but I loved this movie so much because for context, I was both a huge fan of the video game Street Fighter 2 and a raging obsessive over all things Jean Claude Van Damme. I was very much into martial arts back then. And like a combination of him and Power Rangers is probably why I started taking karate in like I want to say like 92. But yeah, no, it was like, and this was a weird thing because this was Jean Claude Van Damme with blonde hair. What's going on? I just remember the first time I saw the commercial for it. I'm like, wait a second, it's Street Fighter and Van Damme is in it,
all rolled into one. And Raul Julia being in there was a big draw for me because I was a big Raul Julia fan.
Yeah,
the Addams Family.
I wasn't able to grab too many pictures for this one because promotional stills from movies from the 90s are few and far between.
Yeah, they're scarce. They're scarce to find out there.
And plus, by the way, I actually will probably, just so everybody knows, I probably will have to phase out pictures moving forward because we're having to drop the paid version of StreamYard. And so I'm not going to be able to pay for my own account because funds are a bit tight. So yeah, it's kind of fitting that there's a smaller number of pictures for today. It'll be a gradual, fading out. Slowness. But yeah, so I don't even know where to start. Anyway, so I told my VHS story. Why don't you talk a bit about like what your experience of seeing this back in '94 was, and like, and how you came to
I came to like this movie. Actually, I came to love this movie just because if you have the right amount of cheese in a movie, for me, I will always champion that, regardless of what critics say, regardless of how horrible people have said video game movies never work out. No, I beg to differ. This was freaking great. First of all, that's why I chose this gift, because we have Ming-Na in here being awesome. General Bison, played by the late great Raul Julia. Van Damme, who was all of the rage of kicking ass films within that like late 80s, early 90s era. He was still hot. And you have Street Fighter. I love the Street Fighter games. All of this blended up into this real weird mix of a world war in a fake city that still places itself in the real world somehow. And there's so many things that are like, wait, but why do that? Like, yes, again, fake city. But we're in the world, because the guy at the end who was giving all the commentary over the credits, his lame jokes give you like the layout of the world that they're in. They're still like Germany and all of our countries and whatnot. But then there's Chandelou. Like, what do you, sir? I don't really have that much to say on his commentary. It just is, they should just remove that part of the film. That would be the one thing I would remove from this film, is that commentary, because it's so ridiculous. And normally ridiculous fits good with the really cheesy movie, but no, those jokes did not grow with age at all. Everything else stands up in the movie, holds up to the cheese. That part though, no, let's not repeat that ever.
Yeah, I actually like when that comes on during the movie, I didn't notice it as much, but during the end credits, and you actually listen to it, and you're like,
Yeah, you're like,
what's
wait a
going
minute,
on?
hold on, bruh. Yeah, okay, that's nope. Yeah, that didn't age well. Nope. Wait, oh, that one. No, that don't work either. No, scratch that out. It's like the whole set of the commentary, and he seems so proud of himself. Like, oh, I got these for days. Yeah, there's a reason they never did any type of voiceover like this ever again.
But it also, like, within the context of the actual movie, I think that's a little touch, though, that does kind of add to the world feeling lived in, kind of.
Maybe.
But not that I'm gonna talk much about how this movie achieves realism.
Is it? I don't know that's a word we should like associate with
Yeah.
this film. I mean, I would like to, but
well, especially with the clip that you've chosen for.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? See, okay, since we're here, let's just jump to that real quick. Chun-Li, my girl has a backstory here, and she is real in her feelings. Big man, and understandably so. Not making fun of that, but she's really in her feelings because this jerk that she's going after, this Bison, killed her dad many moons ago, and she's going in on this really passionate speech on how her dad and a bunch of farmers held back his little meager army back in the day when he was trying to come up and be a warlord. And she laughed like, "Oh, y'all got turned around by a bunch of farmers with pitchforks."
Can I read it though? Because I do.
Oh, yes, please do. Please do.
I have it here. Okay. Can I add dramatic emphasis here? And I know we're not bringing in the big numbers tonight, so I'm just going to let myself really go for it.
Good thing. Do it right now.
It was 20 years ago. You hadn't promoted yourself to general yet. You were just a petty drug lord. You and your gang of murderers gathered your small ounce of courage to raid across the border for food, weapons, slave labor. My father was the village magistrate, a simple man with a simple code, justice. He gathered the few people that he could to stand against you. You and your bullies were driven back by farmers with pitchforks. My father saved his village at the cost of his own life. You had him shot as you ran away. A hero at 1,000 paces. Bison, I'm sorry, I don't remember any of it. You don't remember? For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
It was just Tuesday, bitch. I don't even remember what village you talking about. Like the rage that came from, like, you could see the steam coming out of her ears. And I laugh every time I hear that because I get it. I know this shit is so serious. It's so real for her. But it was just Tuesday, though.
I do want to talk a minute about
my favorite part.
And it's the perfect opportunity to talk about Raul Julia and rest in peace, Raul, because he was dying as they were making this movie.
This was his last one.
Yeah, but he went all in.
He really did. He said, "Oh, you want a cheesy random ass video game villain? Got you. Hold my beer." And my guy came through. All of the cheese, he handled that so majestically. And again, this is just a credit to his talent as a seasoned actor in the game. Like he's probably, if we go through the lineup, he's probably the most decorated actor on this list, on this cast, and he did that. Like there was no falsehood. Like he wasn't treating it like it was just some random bullshit role. Not at all. He gave it all the respect that a great actor would, and it still holds up, man. R.I.P. Raul. We miss your talent.
Yeah, there would be no reason for any actor to go this hard, for this movie, but he just, it's so
Absolute
great.
fact.
Like every time I've gone back to watch this movie, like my appreciation of him
He's the best part.
Yeah, he, without a doubt. And there's no way I could have fully appreciated that as a kid just watching this, because as a kid you're just soaking in all the cheesy fun and everybody's great, and
Exactly.
But as I've gotten older, I really appreciated just like how much he poured himself into this, and didn't it would have been very easy for even if he wasn't horribly ill at the time, he'd say this was he was going to move on to whatever it was after this. He could have just been like, this is just a paycheck, I'll just phone in a performance, and then you consider the fact that how horribly ill he was. You wouldn't blame anybody for not putting in the full effort, because
not
you're just
to really put in the work.
But god damn, he just,
but he did. He came through and he said, nah, I got y'all, I got you. And his performance still holds up. How many years later?
Just in the same sequence, once she starts fighting him and the others come in, and then he runs behind the shield or whatever,
the maniacal laughter.
The bearing his full teeth.
Like, I know I'm not supposed to like him and he's supposed to be the villain, but I every time I see that scene I applaud, because just it's Raul, man. That's all I can say about it. Like, it's like whenever you're watching some random BS movie that is hot garbage, but you see like this one really awesome star come through. Like, let's say the early Dune was a really cheesy freaking movie. Let's say you're watching that and you're trying to push through it, but then who walks in? Fucking Jean-Luc Picard comes on the scene, and you are all at attention now. Now you have to see what's going on with Gurney Halleck and why he has the position that he does. It's so easily the same thing here, and not that Ming-Na was any type of slouch in her role at all. No, it's just Raul is just that great, man.
She actually has a number of good speeches, like
a number of them, and she as far as I'm concerned, this woman legit could put on this costume again today and still be kicking ass, looking even more sexy. And she does here.
And that's the thing. You were talking about things that hit differently as an adult.
look. So go ahead and say it, because we both thinking it. You brought it up. Go on, say it.
Yeah, well, I'll just say, as a kid, my mind wasn't. If it was there, I wasn't like
tuned into it right away.
I wasn't tuned into it. I think that probably in the deep recesses of my mind, I was probably thinking it, but I wasn't fully aware of it.
You know what really sums it up? The fact that what's her name, General Guile, curved her to the left like the whole movie during everything until the end, where she's like, so how about that interview? Only if you're wearing that dress, though.
Yeah,
that right there sums it up. When you watch this with more life experience and you know who you are as a person, finally you see this that's flashing on the screen right here. I'm like, damn, look at them legs. Like, see, I wasn't thinking that in 1992.
And it's funny watching that with 2023 eyes. I'm like, part of me is like, this effing guy, but then at the same time, it's like she's into it, she's giving him the look, and it's like,
well, she's playing her part. That's what he was supposed to feel like. Yeah, he was really about to get the tip in, but no, she had other plans. She had other plans.
Yeah, no. Oh god. Yeah, no.
There's so much awesomeness about this movie. Actually, let's talk about our the King Kong versus Godzilla interjection that we got out of
my god.
E Honda and what was dude's name?
Zangief.
Was he Czech, Russian?
Russian.
Well, I'm trying to think of his character's name. I don't remember what his character's name is.
Yeah, here he is on the left.
When him and E Honda have that like battle of the big swole dudes fight, it's actually really interesting to see. And the fact that they put that up against King Kong and Godzilla, I was like, well, I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong because that's the weight class that they were in.
Well, yeah, and it's just so like I'm very confused about how to classify that in terms of like modern.
I don't know that we can. This is one of those old cheesy movie things that we just say it happened.
But it is like I still find it utterly hilarious that it's juxtaposed against the Asians like tuning into it and they're having to watch this Godzilla fight going on and it's just like
idea was that
they're like really
nobody was even sitting in a scene like watching that movie. There's no context at all for it to come in random. Except the editors were going through like, you know what would be good right there? Let's put King Kong and Godzilla in just for no damn reason at all. Oh man. I swear the editors should have gotten an award for this thing.
Although I will say, and this is the curse of me having like become an editor in years since then, I did like notice a number of missing bits in the final fight battle, whatever. Like at one point, Zangief and Honda are fighting and Zangief is wearing like a tank top and then cut to the next shot and the tank top's gone.
It just disappeared.
And then what was the other thing?
They didn't handle that cutscene very well at all.
Yeah. Oh god, there was. Oh, and then freaking when the doctor, Dalsim, just all of a sudden like loses his hair and his shirt and everything. It's like, when did that happen?
Wait, why is he bald now though? Like the very last time we saw this dude, Guile was getting ready to rescue him. He was like, no, I gotta stay here to atone for my sins or whatever. No, it was a little bit before that when he first saw Charlie turned into what I forget the character's name. But he still had all his hair.
Blanca. I mean, and
Blanca.
I know like that's the
Blanco.
That's the appearance of his character in the video game. So I know like they had to like build up to that. The only thing I could think of was that in the earlier scene, he gets like the mutagens and stuff like poured over him. Maybe it was just a delayed reaction.
I mean, I guess maybe.
But I suspect there was something else there that they just cut for time, and it's like, nobody will notice.
They didn't show. They showed that like his muscle mass was growing, but they didn't give us that much of like what they were putting into his body to make that happen. So, with him coming out with the weird green skin and orange hair, kind of tracks with that. Also,
which that is just like in a movie that is about this, like, this army force, which is called the AN, by the way, this made up force that's like slash
almost like United Nations,
part UN, part US Army, part international forces. So you got this plot about them and fighting to overthrow this this warlord, and then smack dab in the middle of it, the warlord is creating this super soldier that's like the Hulk with you know, silly
with,
orange
with
hair.
barely a brain, yeah.
And all because there's a character in the damn video game that looks like
That was so extra to have to get to. Honestly, again, this is a fake world. You could have made up anything to have that guy looking like that. It didn't need to be this long drawn off plot that just fell short with him and the doctor that helped do it. Well, I can't even really say the man helped do it. He was a captive too.
Yeah.
They kidnapped him because of his brilliance, and then they twisted all of his work. And he saw that. So yeah, you got to advertise the video game characters. I suppose guilty, yeah.
Well, and that's, you know, but it was so funny.
They could have just been another race of soldiers, though.
I loved how, as like the climax of the movie builds up, like each of these characters, like they're getting in like their trademark looks. Like Honda's got like the blood marks on his face that are like the makeup he has in the video game,
and he gets his shirt pulled off when he's in the fight with the quote unquote Godzilla. So he's got the sumo gear on.
Yeah, it was. It really is just so silly, but I loved it. And what was interesting was that they actually part of that was they also had the characters like get in, you know, their sort of video game attire. There was a Street Fighter the movie video game. I'm not sure if it was just an arcade game or if it went to like other like home video games.
I want to say it was just an arcade game because I don't recall ever seeing that for any system.
And so they photographed the actors from the movie like in their full, you know, final get-ups for that, which, and I would wish I had some pictures from that right now because
let's see it.
Because there were I don't have them. I wish I did.
Oh, you don't?
Because there were some that I saw with Kylie Minogue where let's just say she was at her skimpiest, and there looked.
They gave her the for real outfit.
Yeah, and it did look like there was some. Sorry, everybody. I'm just like really going into it. Did look like there was some oiling going on. Is all I'm gonna say.
That dress became his character.
But yeah. The 90s, everyone.
Right? Exactly. That's the only reason that need be given. The 90s. You know what's something that's really interesting, and I kind of would have liked to see them do it just to see what they did. And this is something that I only noticed for the first time in the multiple times I've seen this movie, that they set up the end for a part 2. After all the credits and all that, the system is rebooting, and Bison hits the restart button on world domination. So he kind of survived that and was already getting back into gear before he even pushed the rubble off of himself.
You know what? I remember that. I didn't watch after the credits today because I had forgotten about that, but now I remember I have seen that.
That is the first time that I remember ever seeing that today. And yeah, you're right. They were popping out the Easter eggs before Easter eggs were cool.
Oh, but you don't get any like this definitely was not the first though. Have you seen the 80s Masters of the Universe movie?
Oh God.
Didn't
I message you about that? We need to talk about that one too. Because I am all here for the He-Man movie of Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Because there's an after credit scene of that.
There is an after credit scene for that. Oh my goodness!
Up out of the
whatever
it is, and he
out
goes,
of like the ooze or whatever he fell into.
And he'll be like, "I'll be back.
I'll be back." And then he almost did like the perfect Skeletor laugh though. I mean, like it's a huge meme now with Skeletor. People didn't know Skeletor was low key a diva back in the day before being a diva was cool. In case y'all didn't watch the old cartoon. Just so you know.
About actors going hard, that was Frank Langella, as Skeletor.
Him and the lady that played Evil Lynn. Like, look, this could so easily turn into a Masters of the Universe stream. Really Let's just cut it right there.
But also, barely anybody's watching, so I feel like we can just go
this is totally for just our own cheesy enjoyment, and I am not mad at that at all.
Yeah. No, I will say on the subject of Evil Lynn real quick, she scared the crap out of me as a kid. And I was
she scared me. She was very creepy though.
But
she stood up to the character.
Yeah.
I think she did what should have been done with her character.
I was definitely too young at the time to
appreciate that outfit.
Yeah. As I got older, I was like, oh, there's some other stuff going on.
Oh wait, yeah, there's a whole lot more going on with Evil Lynn over here. Wait a minute, rewind.
I was cracked up, but sorry guys, we're gonna get back to Street Fighter Aside, I swear. But I say guys, I think Guilty's here. Might be the only one. We appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you for hanging with our shenanigans, Guilty.
There's a line early on in the movie where Gouldor says, she seemed interested in my work. How could I know she was from Snake Mountain? She was beautiful. And then Man-at-Arms says that would be Evil Lynn. I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
There's history there. There is history there, and I want to know, Man-at-Arms. You ain't fooling nobody, sir.
Okay, let's get back to Street Fighter.
One quick point. One last quick point. I don't know why the hell we had to have a Gouldor in the first place. Orko was far superior character. They should have brought him in.
But I did grow up with Gouldor too, so I had love for him. So yeah, but that's a discussion for Masters of the Universe stream, which will
commence at some point in time in the future.
Yeah,
we'll work it out after Mortal Kombat sometime.
But okay, so how did we go? We talked about the end credits. Is set
the
up
end credits scene, yes.
Which, by the way, I just find it utterly hilarious that anybody thought to set this up for a sequel.
I mean, look, they low-key did the same thing with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this kind of treks for those types of movies back in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right, let's talk about my man, Jean Claude. Because
that horrible accent that he was putting on. Where was he supposed to be from in this movie?
I mean, wasn't it just his accent?
Was it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
I think there's some words that he says that throw me off a bit, but that could just be how he talks. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Maybe.
But yeah, I was such a huge fan of his as a kid. I
think Kickboxer's the first movie I ever saw with him and been stuck ever since.
Yeah, I think Kickboxer was the first one because I actually have my friend Tim to thank for introducing me to Van Damme. I think
kudos to you, Tim.
I think Kickboxer was the first one and followed very closely by Bloodsport, which is still
Bloodsport. Yeah,
I still love Bloodsport. And it's funny, every time I had a martial arts tournament, I would always watch Bloodsport in the morning before I went. Because it would always hype me up.
Kickboxer, even more so than the Karate Kid, back then made me want to really learn martial arts. But because also of Kickboxer, I always said I didn't want to be trained by an American. I want to go to the freaking like backwoods of Thailand or somewhere and find that old guy that hates everybody, that knows all of the cool things he just doesn't teach anymore, and convince him to take me on as his student. I attribute that only to Kickboxer, and I'm thinking of that like with my adult brain now, like that was really fucking stupid. Like, why would you do that? But that's where my mind was back then.
Well, and of course, we'll talk about next week. We'll be talking about Kill Bill Volume 2, which continues on in that tradition of going out into the middle of nowhere to learn from a martial arts instructor.
And boy, would I have loved to learn from him. Oh,
and like, I love how the thing about, especially in those early Van Damme movies, was like there was always a sequence where he had to learn how to do the splits.
Yeah. That always made me so scared, because I don't know if anyone's ever like worked out those specific set of muscles on your inner thighs, or if you've ever pulled your groin. It is not comfortable. It is every bit as scream-inducing as it shows in that movie. It's just doing splits is not something that comes easy to most folks. You definitely have to train your body how to do that.
I actually got like I wasn't able to do it like all the way, but I got pretty close while I was in karate, because I kind of built it up over time.
Yeah, you build up over time training it.
Yeah, where I would like go a little bit more and just a little bit more over time. And really, it's so stupid, because the only reason I wanted to do is because that's what
he could do it.
And everything it's like, it is not worth doing this to yourself.
There's no real legit reason that you actually have to learn how to do that in martial arts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not a martial arts master, so maybe someone, if you watch this later and I'm wrong, jump in the comments and tell me. But to me, it doesn't seem like that's something you actually need in your training.
Yeah, no, I just think of that scene in Bloodsport where his buddy comes in and he's like, man, that hurts me just looking at it. It's like, hey,
there was
you might want to stop that. You might want to have kids one of these days.
There was, I do not remember the name of the show, but it was a group of guys that were going in training to, was it sumo? It may have been like training camp for sumo wrestlers or something, but I actually should have remembered this before that sentence I said a couple minutes ago. They were actually training their guys to be that flexible that they could go down into a split if they needed to. And most people were getting it, that these are really, really big dudes. But of course, muscle memory, in case you don't know what that is, you wonder why some of these really guys that look like they're just fat can do some extraordinary shit. It's because all that fat really isn't fat. Just how it carries on their bodies the way they train. One guy was not getting to the level that the instructor wanted him to be at. And he actually like came behind this man and took his foot and like pushed him down. And like, dude he was done for the rest of the class there, because you cannot just fully put that much pressure on those muscles all at once if you are not ready for it. Like, you can seriously injure yourself. So yeah, I think about that sometimes, and I'm looking like, I'll skip that part of training. I don't really need to know how to do that. No thanks. And now, of course, I don't want to train for anything because I don't like pain. I don't like getting hit. I can defend myself decently enough, but I don't need extra. No thanks.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like I said, I did karate for many years, and I actually got to black belt, and at that point,
which level?
It just first degree. But because the reason why I didn't continue very much beyond that is because I find that like the journey to that point is a lot of fun for a young person.
Yeah.
But then after that, I started questioning whether I was actually enjoying.
Whether you're really into it anymore.
Yeah, continuing on, and so I had to I was doing that, and I was just starting to work, and I was doing school.
Yeah, the real world calls.
Yeah, so I had to, something had to give, and I was like, if I'm not having fun with this anymore, and it's not giving me something, then maybe I should just go ahead and and give it a rest, and so that I don't keep killing myself throughout the week trying to balance, all these different things. But it's still a very
totally understandable.
Yeah, but it's still a very important part of my life, and in that all the memories I have from it, and the fact that it instilled this lifelong love of the martial arts, which is why I still get I still have a ball watching stuff like this, where I'm watching Van Damme do his twirl around in the air kicks, which are so extra but so fun to watch.
So fun to watch. And actually, there's a lot of moves that I found once I grew up and actually started seeing what is a human body is actually capable of in doing some of these. Yeah, there's a lot of that a stunt person was doing that actually has those skills. I've seen guys and women. This is definitely not just to the male species. I think they call it something like the ladder or something or other, but basically they'll hold wood blocks or some target in an incline, and some of them get pretty high. And I've seen a guy he'll do run and then do the jump, and you have to be super quick with your kicks to hit all the targets, and then still do the spin kick that you have to land to pass the exercise. And I'm like, holy fracking, okay. So people actually are out here trying to do this. All right, I need to become a superhero. At some point in time in my life, I got to start training to be Batman. It's the only way that I can compete with any of this.
I do have to say that one of my, and this is why there were some things that didn't even occur to me to take a look at when I was a kid, because this was a video game adaptation, and I just it took for granted that there was these were characters who were going to be doing impossible things. But I just love that when Van Damme he comes up, and when Bison is planning on releasing Blanca out to attack, and Van Damme just shoots out of that thing.
What was that, like 7 or 8 feet from the basement up onto the level, and in time enough also to have that land that front kick across the face and land. And I forget what he said when he landed. Of course, it was some stupid one-liner like that. These freaking movies, man. It's there has to be at least one scene like that in all of them.
And I was watching that today, and I was I was of two minds about it. I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing in the world. But then I'm like, oh my God.
That was so damn cool.
I love it. And then a second later, he's doing a drop kick down on the machinery.
Yeah.
So and his foot goes right through it. I'm like, that's
that's impossible. No. That is not how that works.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just, I love it.
So hilarious. Hilarious.
And okay, so we're talking about Van Damme. So I have to talk about my favorite, what has always been my favorite part of this movie, which
one?
No, the speech, Van Damme's speech. His big
rally, come with me,
troops moment. And yes, I'm going to read this too, because
go for it. Bring it on.
Oh my God, I used to drive my parents crazy with this. All right, well, first of all, let's set it up. He's they're getting ready to you know, launch the attack on
And
Bison.
he's telling the
and
guy that they had to bring in that they told him to stand down, saying, "No, you've lost your balls."
which by the way, this guy who comes in doesn't have a name. He's not a named character. He's played by Simon frickin' Callow, who is a very revered actor. And has been in everything from Amadeus to Outlander. You know,
too many notes.
He was, oh no, that wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't him. In Amadeus.
Oh no, I know that wasn't him. I just like that line.
Oh yeah, I absolutely adore it. By the way, anybody who hasn't seen the Amadeus stream that I did, go watch that because that was so much fun. So anyway, so Simon Callow comes on to play this thankless role that, like, I don't know, like, you're sitting here and again, didn't know who Simon Callow was as a kid, but I'm watching this as an adult and I'm like, how the hell did
they get half of these people in this movie?
So I love he comes in, he's like, I'm afraid not, Colonel. Security Council has just voted. They decided to negotiate. We think we can deal with General Bison. And the best part of that exchange is, Colonel, have you lost your mind? No, you've lost your balls. At which point he relieves Guile of his command. This is getting heavy, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So then Guile steps in front of his troops. All right, here we go. And sorry, my Van Damme Belgian accent is going to suck. Because nobody can do that except for Van Damme.
Doesn't matter.
Right. Troopers, I just received new orders. Our superiors say the war is canceled. We can all go home. Bison is getting paid off for his oh, by the way, there's inspiring music as this is going on. Okay. Bison is getting paid off for his crimes, and our friends will have died here. Will have died for nothing. But we can all go home. Meanwhile, ideas like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up. But we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm going to get on my boat and I'm going upriver and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is going to feel it. Now, who wants to go home and who wants to go with me? Yeah, and then
Like it was so weird. And the one small callback we got to that after that whole thing is the guy trying to explain, like, oh no, he's a lunatic and madman, and you know he left. He said he was still going, but I kept the army here though. I stopped him from doing that. Meanwhile, we cut to the cook who's in the courtyard looking around like, well, where the hell was everybody? There's one lonely cat that's just walking through the battlements. Yeah, no one's there. They literally took everyone but that guy.
Oh my god.
Hilarious.
Which by the way, and like I'm not even ashamed to say it. I had every line of this movie memorized as a kid.
Yep. I'm fairly certain that we could go right now and I can still get like 75% of it.
Yeah, I remember there was, and my poor cousins, but I remember one time I went back to Maryland on a summer trip, and I was in the car with my cousin and I meant to say my niece and nephew, but I was in the car with my cousin and I was kind of, you know, keeping my niece and nephew entertained.
Mm-hmm. What voice did you do?
And I just started reciting the entire movie of Street Fighter for which I'm sure they found that very entertaining, and weren't at all annoyed. But no, I went through like every beat, and then when there wasn't dialogue, I would recount what happened. And then it's
I feel like that's a good time.
yeah,
I don't see anything wrong with that.
that's what I thought.
No notes on your behavior at all. Perfect.
I do wish that Erin was watching right now, because she loves hearing these stories that she always says are such John stories. And that's
awesome.
that is as John as I get, because that is absolutely something I would do.
We're bored? Fine. Let's recite movie lines. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
And I'm not even going to give you guys a variety. It's just going to be this cheesy movie that I love a lot. And I know the entire movie.
I am very certain. Actually, if I called my cousin Daphne, we could go through right now, and that 75% would change exactly to 100% of having all the lines in for this movie. Like, actually, one-liners in this movie. I feel like our boy, I can only call him Godzilla because I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Oh, Zangief, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God.
He had the
Change
best
the channel.
That one. The very first time I'm watching this was with my cousins, and he said, dude, we laughed for a whole 40 minutes after that just because of that one line. Bruh. And to put it into context for anyone that might watch and listen to our shenanigans later, in that scene, there is a truck filled with explosives headed into their area, or they think it's their area, and they need to go away somewhere. And they're watching it happen on a security monitor, and dude comes up, and his panic, his one thought in his panic is, quick, change the channel. Changing the channel is not going to stop real life, sir. How did you come to the conclusion that this was going to be something that will be helpful? My second favorite thing with him is at the end, when him and DJ are talking about leaving, and the general's going to lose, or blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, if he's really the bad guy, well, why do you help him? Because he paid me money. What? You got paid? Bruh! What the hell did Bison tell this man to get him on the team? How was the thought of being paid for your time an afterthought for this dude? Like, did he kidnap him when he was a baby so he just don't know no better? I never understood how he got into the position that he did. And he's like head of security.
The whole build up to that final line delivery is great, because just the fact that all of his lines, he's like, General Bison is a bad guy.
He's a bad guy? And then he gives that like sideways thumb up at the end, and Guile has to grab his hand like, no, thumbs up. And he's like, oh. He looks at it like it's some great new phenomenon. Like, bro, my guy, where did they find you?
And by the way, there is no way I appreciated the musical score of this film when I was a kid, but I love the fact that especially in the scene where Zangief is like showing Ken and Ryu, or Ryu as he's told in the movie, but I think it's supposed to be
someone does pronounce it the right way one time. Okay. I'm trying to remember which character was it. Wait, was it Bison? I think it was. I think it was Bison that actually pronounced it Ryu, and everyone else was saying Ryu. I'm like, did y'all see again? Raul Julia being awesome. Like, did y'all really not check to make sure you were saying this man's name correctly?
But anyway, so Zangief, gets them their new clothes, and he's showing them around, and there's like this stereotypical Russian music.
Oh my goodness. Like, it's so horrible, but it's so great because it fits so well.
Well, I saw somebody describe the score as a parody score. And I think that kind of sums it up because it is so like over the top, but it fits perfectly with the movie.
It does. I mean, even to the freaking songs that were playing at the end of the movie, like I was really listening to them this time around. I was like, yo, this is everything that was that weird period between the late 80s and early 90s when music had to try to reevaluate itself and get correct. Because some of those songs just sounded really, really ridiculous. But it still it treks to everything that that part of the 90s was. And I'm still here for it.
But of course, and then, you know, another great Zangief moment is, you know, after Bison gives his big, you know, political rally speech, as I call it. And DJ is just looking at there, almost rolling his eyes at it. And Zangief is like, that was beautiful.
But he's crying. He's almost like, oh goodness. He's like the freaking Winter Soldier Mach 1. Not the Winter Soldier, the Red Guardian Mach 1. It is kind of the role he's playing here. Like he's all of the comic, like the on purpose comic relief. There's many moments in this movie that I'm sure they did not mean for anyone to laugh. That just cracks me up.
Well, I don't know, because there are clearly lots of moments where you are supposed to find it utterly hysterical.
Oh, that's true. That's true too.
But. And I like in that same scene, I love when the news report comes on that Guile's been killed, and DJ is like, "Man, that's great news, General. Congratulations!" And the Bison goes, "On the contrary, I mourn." And then DJ goes, "Okay,
okay." Like you can hear in every fiber of his being, he's like, "Bruh, I can't believe I'm still here."
I mean, DJ...
And I also wonder what's the number that he promised DJ, because I feel like DJ has not been paid either. He just has some semblance of thoughts in the original agreement that, yeah, he was going to be paid a very large amount, which did come back into play later.
Oh, it's
which,
great.
Again, is the arrogance, the utter arrogance of Bison to already have his money printed. And that's what he was going to use to pay DJ and everybody else, because no, he's going to make all the world banks bow down to his currency and his currency alone. Oh boy. The disappointment of DJ's face when he opened the chest.
And like, I didn't process the lunacy of like how his operation is being run.
Yeah.
The fact that there's a line in the movie where he says, even as, you know, the world's nations scorn me, their corporations adore me. It's like, are all the like corporations really?
Sir, are you reading the room? Like, yeah, when he's designing, what was it, Bison Topolis or whatever the hell he was calling it, he's like, no, the food courts, they need to be bigger because like all the big franchises are going to want to come in. Sir, how are they going to want to come in? You mean you're going to put guns on them and tell them that this is what they have to do? I don't think we're reading the room here correctly, young man.
But I would just love to see the details of how he set everything up. Was it just all with IOUs?
What? And that's exactly what that is exactly what I was just thinking. Like, you have that many people. Like, we didn't even see his full army. We just saw people in the scenes that they took us through. There's a whole ass army that's off fighting in different parts of the world. Multiple parts, not just one other part. How are you feeding and getting food for these people? Like, you have to have some amount of capital to cover these things. Because you can't make everything. I mean, you can have farmers, but not enough to feed the all of your forces that you have here, even at the home base. So where is your money to do the things that you're doing now coming from? Where are the weapons and all of that coming from. Like he's very clearly is kicking everybody's ass. But how are you able to do that? What's the setup? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah, I don't know that we're supposed to look at it that closely, but these are just the thoughts.
But it's interesting.
Running through my head.
It's interesting to think about, man, because I cannot fathom at all like how you were able to get this many people, very capable soldiers, very capable scientists. I mean, they only showed one kidnapped scientist. Only one. Everybody else was on his team. That does not make sense. The other ones
were his loyal scientists.
Yeah, his loyal, right? Quote unquote loyal.
These are just like just a bunch of, and of course, it's a team of old white dudes, you know. As
of course, of course. It tracks.
It's like, were you guys' careers going so bad that you said to yourselves, "Yeah"?
Like, who pissed you off in the scientific community? Who didn't want to publish your little stupid term paper that you wrote that made you mad? That made you want to go over to this guy of all people? And again, this is shit that would never ever matter in the grand scheme of things. This is just where nerd brains take our thoughts sometimes, man. Because I need it to make sense.
I'm gonna pause real quick. Do the mid roll.
Yes, let's get the mid roll.
Okay, so I love that this really is just for our own shenanigans. For our
own entertainment. Yep. Like, and I am fine with that.
I would not have it any other way. But but yeah, for Eric and anybody else who comes to watch later, we will be talking Kill Bill Volume 2 next week with
so we're gonna have AR back with us, right?
Yeah, AR will be back, and I'm looking forward to getting into that because as much as like I love it so much because each volume of Kill Bill is really its own beast, because Volume 1 is such in the best possible way, it's sort of style over substance. I mean, there's still a lot of substance too, but it's very much a stylistic like tour de force. And Volume 2 is where you really get into the characters and tell the emotional story. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. And and then after that, I'll be taking a week off because everybody's pretty busy because there's Pride stuff going on, I believe. Which, by the way, happy Pride Month, everybody.
Gracias. Well, I'm taking that personally for me. I don't care about everybody else out there. It's mine. I'm just playing.
But yeah, so that week I'm be taking off, and then the week after that, if everything holds, I have a plan to have a stream with Blue Lemons and my good friend Sydney over from the Dark Crystal podcast.
Awesome.
And we're not actually talking about the Dark Crystal, but I have talked Dark Crystal stuff with her. But they're going to be joining me for a stream on Kubo and the Two Strings, which I'm looking forward to. I still have
to watch that one. You know,
yeah, it's wonderful.
I'll shoot confessions with AK. I've never seen the Dark Crystal either.
Oh yeah, don't. You're gonna have to make sure that Sydney doesn't see this, because she'll make it her life mission to change that. I was grasping for words because I was trying to make sure that I plugged the name of the podcast she's on. It's called Trial by Stone, the Dark Crystal podcast, and it's a fantastic podcast. I actually got to do a discussion with them about the film, which they was over on this channel, and then they actually took the audio from that and used it as a podcast episode over there. So I was very honored by that. but yeah, anyway, so getting sidetracked. So that's kind of the stuff coming up, and yeah, so just stay tuned for that. You got anything you want to plug?
Let's see, what do I have coming up? Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, I believe, I will be on with Phantom and DJ again on DJ's channel. What movie are we talking about? I think someone asked us to do Morbius, so we're going to talk about the Morbius movie and all of its random, ridiculous, and some decent parts. I didn't hate the movie overall. I think critics are a little too overly into bashing things sometimes. Besides that, not this upcoming Friday, but the Friday after, will be another round of Jackbox Game Nights with the Citadel of Trivia crew. A few other things I have coming up, but I need to make sure they're in place before I announce them. So, if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. That's usually where I post what streams I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, so.
And at some point in time, also, me and J Dubs are probably going to wax poetic about Masters of the Universe and all of its ridiculousness, too.
Oh yeah, and we're going to be doing Mortal Kombat in the not too distant future, and then
Yes.
At some point after that, Masters of the Universe, which I'm so delighted now that we're talking about that.
Dude, let's just put all of the random old cheesy movies on the list.
No, like I feel like you're my childhood cheesy movie soulmate, AJ.
Right back at you. I heard that so much.
Because I cannot imagine. It was a nice, pleasant surprise that Blue Lemons was interested in discussing this stuff with us too. I'll have to ask her about Masters of the Universe. I don't.
Yes, please.
We'll see if she's into talking about that one too. But it's a rare thing to find people who will want to
find a crown.
Who will like enthusiastically come on to talk about that stuff, and not just to. I'm sure I could find plenty of people who would come on to rag on this stuff, but I have a genuine love for these movies that, I know they're cheesy, and they're silly and and all that, but I still love them.
That's one of the reasons why we love them, though.
Yeah. Let's see, anything else that I want to mention? Not really, aside from the fact that there are too many people, again, not too many people watching, but I will be going to Con of Thrones in August. If anybody watching this is going, I'll look forward to seeing you there. And so let's go ahead and jump back in.
Also, fingers crossed that next Con of Thrones comes back to Tennessee, because I could actually make it to that one. Yeah,
I don't even I need to put off thinking about next year until next year, because I'm thinking about all the things I'm still doing this year, which include a trip to Maryland to see my family, which I'll be doing with my dad, so that'd be nice. And Con of Thrones, and possibly one other thing. So I'm like, after I get through with that stuff, I'm like, all right, time to save my money back up. So I don't yet want to think about reload. I don't yet want to think about spending it next year, but when they announce that, then I'll start thinking about it. But yeah, okay. So back to Street Fighter. Where have we not gone yet with this?
Let's see.
I do want to say a little bit more about DJ. He is just provides so much wonderful.
Comedian. I think he was actually a comedian in real life. I know he was definitely an actor outside of this role, but I feel like there's something else bigger that he was doing.
So funny. I think I think we talked before on one of the previous streams, maybe during the mid-roll, about or maybe it was just one of our off-camera conversations where, you know, we were talking about that moment when they're losing the battle and Bison is like, if defeat is a possibility, so be it, DJ. We will face it together with the stoicism of the true warrior. And DJ is just in back of him going,
DJ looked at him like, what? Yeah, he's tiptoeing out the back door. That DJ was like, yeah, nah, fuck this. I ain't about to die for this. Which, I'm sorry, DJ, how did you think this was going to end up, though? What part of this did you sign in for that you thought that this dude was actually going to win? Yeah. Come on, man. Oh, that part was hilarious, though, because, yeah, he was out. He was not for any of that. He went and found a little treasure chest. And, of course, when everything's breaking down, it's like, oh, well, you know, Jamaica, here I come, because DJ is supposed to be Jamaican. And next thing we know, where he turns around and Sabat and freaking Vagar, they're like, oh, no, here we come. Who invited you? Like, you, the only reason that DJ probably didn't try to do anything to you is because you got Vega standing right there. And he's scared of Vega.
I don't even think Vega was there at that point.
Wasn't he?
No, because I
thought they got out together. All three of them got out together, yeah.
No, because I think
it's kind of still fighting somebody.
It's kind of tough to tell, but it almost looked like they didn't really show it happen, but it looked like Vega fell on top of his weapon during the fight. They didn't show it in graphic detail, but he's not there with Sagat when
they had to come across him later, though, because I remember it shows them when he finally opened the chest.
But we didn't see him die for certain, so I'm sure we'll see him again in the sequel.
If it ever happens. I'm actually a little curious of why they didn't have Sabat do any type of fighting.
Well, he does a little bit. In the,
I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, just I guess thinking about who his character was, like from the game. I suppose he wasn't that popular of a character, but yeah.
Well, and a lot of these characters are not quite their video game.
Yeah, true enough.
It's like we've gone on about how great Raul Julia is, but I just wonder, like, who on earth looked at the character of M. Bison and said,
"It was Raul Julia." I mean, kudos to them that did it, because again, the man is spectacular. He handled it, especially with this being his last role before he passed away. It's we're just always gonna come back and wax poetic about Raul Julia in any circumstance.
Yeah, and
I haven't seen the Addams Family in a while. I might have to watch that later today.
Oh, it's great. I just recently watched it a couple months ago when I bought the 4K Blu-ray for, I think it was around, when would that have? I mean, it couldn't have been. It couldn't have been Halloween, because I don't think maybe it was. I'm just thinking I was not in like any condition to be enjoying the Addams Family back at that time, but maybe it was. Maybe that was a good distraction for me. But yeah, no, he's like, I love him as Gomez in the Addams Family. He's so good.
Oh, he's so great. So great. It's just ridiculously suave. Like, he made Gomez sexy.
That is another movie that, like, where my eyes are open being an adult watching that. I'm like, I'm watching Angelica. And I'm
Miss Houston?
Yeah.
Back in the day, she could get it.
and the
we
way
are right here with that,
and the way they shot her with the light on her eyes,
dude.
it's like, oh wow.
Everything about Tisha's outfit just matched her perfectly. In every way you could take that sentence meaning perfectly. Oh man,
we really have to.
The list is going to keep getting longer, but we should definitely add Adam's Family and Adam's Family Values on that.
No, I was going to say you and I need to do like a ginger ale style chat where we can talk.
You know what?
Stuff more freely.
A few people were asking me about when we're doing the next one, so I will dial you in when I start looking at dates.
Because I think you and I have a number of
we could go through a whole tier list. Let me write that part down. Yep, we're doing this. Is happening. I don't know when, but it's happening.
All right, good. But okay, focus, John. What were you talking about?
See, sexy Angelica Houston took over your brain.
Yeah, it did. So okay. So what haven't we? let me. Well, first of all, let me see.
Oh, eat Honda.
Yeah, Honda. Yeah.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I love all the banter between Chun-Li and her crew with Honda and who's what's the other guy's name?
I forget what his character name even is. Hold on.
Let me look it up. I should be ashamed because back in the day I would have known in a heartbeat.
Right away.
Balrog. Oh, I should have known that because the Balrog from Lord of the Rings. And I was always like, it was so funny because I remember when I came to Lord of the Rings, back in like 2000, 2001, and they start talking about the Balrog. I'm like, Balrog from Street Fighter?
And that was played by Grand L. Bush. The name I couldn't remember, Miguel A. Nunes Jr. is who played DJ.
Okay.
He was pretty popular in a few things in the 90s.
No, but I love the banter, like in the truck when Honda's like, watch after yourself, and she's like, oh, I didn't know you cared, and then Balrog's like, we don't. You're the only one who can sign our expense accounts. It's cheesy humor, but it's as a kid I found it very.
It's low key cheesy humor, but it also tricks specifically to have his character be the one to say that, because if you are around, if you ever get any like really good friends that are people of color, like legit, you'll see the first thought is always the paycheck. A lot of times, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that at all. No, that there are multiple jobs I've had. Like, you know what? Nah, I need that check. Got to pay these bills. So I'm gonna go over here and do what I have to do, even though it's kind of getting on my nerves now. So it's just that, and not everybody's gonna pick up on that, but it's because there's multiple levels of why he said that. Because I do like you. You cool. We friends and all, but my check though, I gotta keep these lights on. Or what's we can go with Benny's excuse from Total Recall. Like, I got 5 kids. Freaking Total Recall. Oh man. We talked about that one, didn't we?
No, we didn't. It's funny because I did not grow up with that movie. I
did a stream about that. I thought it was you. Maybe not.
I saw it for the first time like when the remake came out, when was that? I guess that was maybe not so recent as I thought, because that I think that was actually
I
around
think it was.
2012, so a good 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
I know it's after 2010.
Yeah, so
Let's see. The original film came out in 1990, and yeah, 2012
yeah,
was when
so
the
I
original
saw
came out.
it's about 10, 11 years ago for the first time.
That's another one that's ridiculous and cheesy and all of that. Like Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, even Mr. T. Like those were like if we're putting a team together for that span of years in cinema, those were the guys.
I'm also starting, like, it becomes really apparent what was so wonderful about the 90s, because I'm thinking about that movie now and I'm thinking about Sharon Stone. Um, and I'll just leave it at that.
You know what? I understand you. I understand you. I was just never into Sharon Stone like that. However, hold on, let me find what her name is. Madam that played Melina. That is where my eyes were going.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been if I had seen that movie as a kid. I just, but 10 years ago, I was watching that. I was like,
Yeah, you had some semblance of a self. Rachel Ticotin. That was her name. Let's see who. What other character have we not touched? Oh, actually, what I was thinking about with Honda is when they're in that little torture cave
oh yes,
thing, and Balrog, I think he got chosen first, and he gets put back on the wall, and he's bleeding and out of breath and all that, and then Honda gets put over that little wooden plank thing. Shirt gets ripped open, and dude is hitting him with everything he has. Like, he keeps moving up levels with the whip. First it's just a regular whip, and then he gets one that with like finer strands on it, because smaller usually makes it hurt more. And then he's up to straight flogging him to where he gets one with blades on it. And then he finally like grabs something to where like he could like grip layers of skin and like pull. And Honda's just sitting there like picking his teeth like and he goes away. The guy goes, he's like, okay, I gotta find something better for this. I know you are going to scream today. And he goes out, and then of course Honda keeps his cool until dude walks out, and then he lets it drop like, oh damn it, because he's in pain. There's no way at the state of his back at that point in time. And Balrog looks at him like, bro, how are you not like yelling and screaming with everything? He's like, hey man, I'm sumo. Okay, my body could be one place, my mind in another. It's just what we do. Like, like the level of badass and like, bitch, you're not gonna catch me slipping, that E Honda is just always respectable to me. I adore it.
Yeah, and then of course as a kid, I always loved the cheesy reply of, yeah, next time your mind leaves, tell them to bring back a pizza. Oh, that's the way to.
There's so many mini moments like that, man.
Yeah, I will say, like, this has to, and we've gone over so many of them, already throughout the stream, but like this is like one of the best movies ever for one-liners.
Yeah,
just all throughout.
Really there's so many to be remembered. Oh, the ultimate clapback. Bison. When Zheng Li first comes in and breaks into the compound, but Sabat is talking about when they find out Gal's dead. Sabat's like, wait, hold on. What? Why is he there though? I thought he was dead. Because now he's storming the castle though, pulling the Stannis Baratheon. And it was Bison turns around like, of course you thought he's alive. What do you mean? He only played that shit to ingratiate his spies with you. But I guess you didn't.
You didn't see that, did you?
Man, like, I would have loved to have actually watched this in theaters just to see what the crowd's reaction was when he said that line, because that was just spicy. Right on point. And Sabat just looks at him like, you motherfucker, how dare you?
I mean,
again, Raul Julia is supreme, man. It's so good.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly, long time no see.
Yeah, no, and for a split second when you were saying that, I thought I had seen it in theaters, but I absolutely did not. I didn't see this until it was on home video, but
yeah, I don't even think I knew it was a thing until I saw it on home video.
Yeah. Oh God. But no, Bison is such a childish dick.
He's such a childish, narcissistic, overprivileged, entitled asshole, and I love every minute of it when he's on screen.
And like, of course, another great part with him is in the, his in the GIF you're showing, that scene where he's with Chun-Li and where he's, talking about how no one has ever seen you in combat, and and the whole thing was like, and he's like, no, I know women, and you are harmless. And then of course
that's the one that really it makes her bust out like, bitch, okay, first of all, you said you forgot about my dad, talking about it was just fucking Tuesday for you. And that you want to test me? What? You know what? Say less. Breaks the freaking handcuffs. And he's still sitting there. This dude is so disconnected from actual reality. He said all that while putting on his little sexy robe, turning the lights down, putting on some incense and candles and shit. And he's got champagne in a glass in his hand on the what kind of couch is that? The Chase couch.
And can we also talk about the fact that he's got his nighttime cap?
The nighttime cap, like he took one off and put another one on, like that was supposed to change the whole look. This dude. I know women. No, you always hide behind your boxer when you're a sumo wrestler. I know women. You're harmless, bitch.
That's what I wanted you to think.
Right. You learned today. At that moment, he knew he could not continue to underestimate this woman. And I will give him kudos in that department. When he slips up and he sees the mistake, he forever course corrects. You will never see him make any type of slip up like that again. Especially if ever a part 2 were ever done from the setup that they left us with. And yo, for real, they could legit just recast Bison. Ming-Na could still play that role. Van Damme could still come back as Guile.
Yeah.
Kylie, no, even Cammy could still come back. Like this, it'd be so easy to do. It'd be so easy to do. Oh, man.
Yeah. But there's so many details in this set too that are so great. Like, put aside the big, portrait of him on the horseback, which is
he's so conceited.
But also the crying clown with the bison hat, in back.
Like he made everything in there. It speaks very much of what the hell was that damn boy's name on She-Hulk? Whoever the frog guy was. It's a lair that is just melded around him.
Yeah,
and it's all to hype up, to continually hype up his ego.
1 second, guilty. I am completely opposed to that.
I would not. That. Yeah, I would not enjoy that.
It's a whole nother discussion, but I am not supportive of the whole CGIing actors, especially dead ones. I have very contentious feelings about all that.
If it's something like they passed before the film could be finished and they had like, you know, a lot or most of the movie done, then I could see something like that happening. Like what that makes me think of real quick is Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah playing Akasha. Sadly, she passed before the movie was done filming, but they had a lot, and for the rest of her lines, her brother actually came in and read those lines for her, and they were able to tune because their pitches were very similar, so they were able to tune all of that in the editing to use those for the lines. And I think there was a body double for the rest of her scenes, but it's something like that would be understandable, you know, with the tech that we have today. But just to outright, you know, computerize his character like that, I would not be for that at all.
Well, and I think his performance is like in the film is like you're not going to get it.
Yeah, there's no way you can even program that
to come close to that. It just wouldn't even be worth the effort, and I have serious like misgivings about it just in principle. So yeah, I'm gonna say a no to that.
Yeah, I'd rather them just recast. Actually, there's a question: who would you put in that role?
Oh God, I don't even know.
Let's say we're fortunate to not get a remake, but a continuation, and we do get Ming-Na and Van Damme and Nunez and a couple of other guys. I'm pretty sure kid that played Ryu is still around as well. I don't remember the actor's name that played Ken.
I've got the. Let's see. I've got the. I wouldn't even begin to know like who I could see in that role. I don't know. Throw some ideas at me.
Okay, hold on. Let me find his name. I can't believe I forgot his name. Stephen DeLance. Put Stannis in there.
Oh, that would be interesting. Because
he Stannis very well, and I think pretty book accurate. And even he said though he really didn't understand Stannis's motivations of what he was trying to do. Yet he still tapped in enough and had the skills enough to give us the great performance that he did. So he's the first, honestly, that came to mind.
It would, yeah, but that would definitely be its own unique thing because I don't think Stephen Delane has like it's you know, of his many talents, it's definitely, it's not in him to have the sort of ridiculousness that Raul had a tendency to bring to some of his characters. I feel like it would be a much more straight portrayal, but maybe that's me not giving enough credit to Stephen Delane because
I mean that's fair.
He's an extraordinary actor, so maybe he has some real comedic chops in him that I just am not aware of.
I'm not quite sure if he would fit the age range, but I mean, honestly, I don't think the age would matter too much with you know what we can do with just a bit of makeup and you know, some hair dye or a wig. I could see Charles Dance pulling this off too. And Charles Dance, he's another one of those English actors that are just in any role, he adapts to what that role needs to be. And I think he could pull off ridiculous cheesy if he needed to. We've seen him do it in Golden Child.
And Last Action Hero.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot about that one. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's my final vote. Charles Dance.
Yeah, I concur. I think he would do great with that.
Oh, dude, I want that so bad now. He would knock it out the park. And he is of the caliber actor to stand up to the other skills that the other actors will be bringing in. That would be great. That would be great.
Also, side note, I just love that everybody else would be coming into that movie and being like, yeah, it's been 30 years. Time's been rough on me. And then Ming-Na, comes up.
And then Ming-Na waltz in.
And
like, okay, y'all got me for about 4 hours before I need to head over to the MCU and start replaying this role for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. What are we doing here? Give me notes.
Well, not just that, the fact but just the fact that she is pretty much immortal and looks exactly the same.
I mean, like, hold on, let me find something real quick.
No, I just love the fact that, going back to this really reminded me that this was the first thing that I had seen her in, and just like what a journey I've sort of gone on with her over the years. And I remember being so excited when she popped up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And seeing her in that. And I remember being so annoyed initially when she was on The Mandalorian, because I'm like, really? You brought in Ming-Na Wen and you're killing her off in this thankless role after one episode. And
like, come on, man.
And then of course she came back and that character just became so incredibly awesome, and it's so great to see her with a big part in and she better play a part in that big Dave Filoni Star Wars movie that they're doing that's supposed to be
I don't know if I've heard of that. What movie is this?
It's going to be like a culmination of a lot of the storylines going on in the different Mandoverse shows.
Okay.
Which is going to be a Dave Filoni directed film that's like is going to be like it's probably going to be like the big confrontation with Thrawn that they're building up to. So I hope that she has a part in that.
All right. Let's see. I'm not going to do this.
But even if she doesn't, bring her back soon and.
Right, just bring her back for anything.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
All
right. It's going to look hinky for a second, but yeah. That was just a few weeks ago.
See what I say? Immortal.
Just a few weeks ago. Like, yeah. It would be so easy to jump in, man. I am now championing Charles Dance playing Bison for part 2. He had to take a few decades off, and now he's back with a new master plan.
Sorry, now I'm having lots of Ming-Na thoughts.
You're welcome. I will not apologize. Oh man, but I think that's pretty much all of them. I kind of would have liked to see them give Kylie Minogue's character a little more storyline than they did, but
I just find it somewhat hilarious that just randomly Kylie Minogue is in this movie as a Cammy. It's like I don't think I even knew who she was outside of this.
I did not
when I was a kid, and then I may have heard something in the years after that, but I remember seeing her pop up as the like drug-induced fairy in Moulin Rouge, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. But no, man, I love everybody in this movie. Like,
yeah, everyone played their roles accordingly, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't I can't actually pass it up. I'm going to real quick look up uh, the 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 image I was talking about Kylie for the for the video game
Oh yeah, please do.
because yeah, can't we can't pass that up. Um, but no, so yeah, like, who haven't we touched on? Is there anyone?
All of the big people. Okay, so let's do it in teams. We got Chung-Li's whole crew. Talked about most of Bison. I guess Vega is probably the only one we did going on. Well, Vega and Ryu and Ken also.
I will say about Sagat, you know, when we I know we talked about sorry, I'm probably gonna start losing my voice soon. About the fact that he doesn't fight much, but he's played by the actor's name is I think you say Wes Studi, is that his name? And he's a very famous actor as well. He's in
there's a
stuff
lot
like
of big names that they got in.
Yeah, he was in stuff like Dances with Wolves, Last of the Mohicans.
I remember him from Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, and he's just an amazing actor, and I love him in this. Just the whole, you know, Sagat, quite a party. Didn't anyone tell you there's a curfew? In Shadaloo City, no one tells me anything. And the light passes
and
by.
Immediately
There's a 7 p.m. curfew.
Like, sir, I beg to differ.
All right, here's that cameo image for filming for the video game. You're welcome, everyone. Like I said, brought to you by the 90s. But no, and then the whole thing with, you know, unveiling the fact that he knows they brought him, you know, toy guns, and you know, the whole build up to that as he's menacingly, you know, counting down to, you know, fire on them. And yeah, and then his, you know, he's got a great
you gentlemen can't take a joke.
Yeah. Surely you're not afraid of your own weapons. And yeah. So yeah, he's great. Yeah, I don't know, like, and that's the thing, like, even there's a lot of actors in this, you know, like nobody brings it to the degree that Raul brings it, but a lot of these actors, like,
they all absolutely played the part.
Yeah, and even the ones who aren't, you know, great actors, they bring such cheesy charm to their roles that they're fun to watch. So it's not like there's not any like stiff bad performances. They're all like, they all play into the cheesy fun of the movie. So
yeah, definitely. I just had an off-topic thought. Just while we're building our world of old school cheesy movies, did you ever watch a little movie called Rock and Roll High School Forever?
No.
Corey Feldman?
Oh,
I would encourage you to partake of that cheese. If for nothing else, just to tell me what your first thoughts are on it. Let's see. But back to this movie. I think Vega. I mean, I guess he was there, and I wasn't really that big of a fan of him in the game, and here, you know, he kind of has some of that same arrogance and conceitedness, narcissism that Bison shows. It's like when they're at that first fight and we see Ryu get put in the ring with him, he's looking at, you know, all this group of women that was cheering for him. They held up their signs like, oh, he's a perfect 10. and then they pull Rio in there, and they look at Rio, and they're like, "Whoop!" They throw all the posters that they were holding away, and he's so offended.
He's like,
by this, he right, open mouth gape, like, what? Could not believe that.
I was gonna say that he doesn't. I was gonna say that he doesn't really have much to do in the movie, and he doesn't. But like, he is kind of funny in that sequence, you know, where it's you know, him and Ryu like one upping each other with, I guess, how, you know, like how cool they are, or how they're gonna forgo weapons and stuff like that. And yeah,
you know what that actually just reminded me of? Like the little sequence with Ryu getting like basically tossed into the ring and having his shirt pulled off. It's kind of low like Shang-Chi Mach 1 going on, because that's the exact same way that I won't say that was the first fight, but once he got to a certain place in that movie, won't spoil for anyone that hasn't seen it, he gets tossed in a ring and his shirt gets pulled off.
Mm.
Oh,
yeah, no.
Such good cheese. This movie will
there's
forever be on my favorites and rewatchable list. I don't see it ever moving.
Yeah, no, and that was the really fun thing about today is I did view it a little bit differently, just because I'm older now and some things just sort of hit differently. But I was very, very happy to discover that I still got a kick out of a lot of the stuff that I did as a kid, and you know, I still laughed at the silliness and and you know, the one-liners and just the character beats, and you know, it's just a fun movie.
It's still every bit as enjoyable now as it was before.
Oh, another thing, like when Bison is like, you know, blowing up the stealth boat, and like he's playing a video game. It's not the arcade.
That man's playing Galaga.
Oh, we wouldn't notice.
But we did. Well, we did. And also, you know what? I call BS on that freaking tech that Guile's army was using, because how is it you can make your completely camouflage your ship and to make it unseeable, but you didn't think to try to do anything to keep the water that you're displacing down to as small a minimum as you could?
It's like
y'all need to go back to the drawing board on that one. That was not cool. You might as well have not been camouflaged.
I did not even think about that as a kid, but I'm watching this today and like, and Bison is looking like he's trying really hard. And Bison is trying really hard to figure out what he's looking at. It's like, it's clear for anybody to see. It's a damn boat in the water. It's just camouflaged, clearly.
Oh my goodness. It's like freaking Wonder Woman's invisible plane that is invisible. When she goes into it, you can still see her because the plane's invisible. That makes no sense. What is the point of having the invisible plane then? Oh goodness, the cheese, man.
Oh God, it's so great. Yeah, no,
man. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll just.
Wait. The superhero pose. After Van Damme does his little hitting on Chung Li thing, and something else explodes. Yep, there it is. Something else explodes in distance, and this is the move that everybody takes it, because I guess they're getting ready to fight whatever's coming. That's what we're gonna do first, though. Okay. And what is the dude on the right doing? Like Honda, I kind of get why he looks like that, but what was this guy doing with the thumbs up?
I don't know. Oh, but this is not.
And Van Damme.
And this is not the exact final pose because, of course, in the film you got Chun-Li, who's
didn't somebody jump in the air?
Jumping up in the air and she's does like her last minute giggle or laugh, which is from the video game, I think, which is like,
there's no words, man.
It's just tying into the video game. It's like makes like. In case you thought any part of this movie made any kind of logical sense at all, we're going to dispel that with the final.
Don't look for logic in this movie.
I do want to sort of bring things to a close just by Bison's speech that we kind of talked around earlier. I'm going to read that as well too. After he's like, on the contrary, I'm more, and then DJ goes, okay. He goes, I was hoping to face Guile personally on the battlefield, one gentleman warrior to another in respectful combat. Then I would snap his spine.
It's fine.
The road not taken. But why? Why do they still call me a warlord? And mad? All I want to do is create the perfect genetic soldier. Not for power, not for evil, but for good. Carlos will be the first of many. They shall march out of my laboratory and sweep away every adversary, every creed, every nation, until the very planet is in the loving grip of the Pax Lysonica. And then peace will reign, and the world and all humanity shall bow to me in humble gratitude. Camera pan up.
And the dramatic music swells, and he's literally sitting there holding his fist, and he like bows his head like he's about to say a prayer or something.
And then
Bison, go sit down.
That was beautiful.
What? And DJ is like, what sort of bullshit is this? Oh, that was beautiful, bruh. Oh man! Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Wait!
They gave this man.
I had to throw this up here because
that's the classic sex appeal pose for women. And if you haven't noticed it, you'll notice it now that I've pointed it out to you.
And if you're just now noticing it, you think it was just a 90s thing? Nope.
No,
absolutely not. Continue to pay attention to any movie posters you see today. Even look at Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Take a look at Black Widow.
Actually, take a look at Infinity War. A lot of people were shocked when they had Bucky and Steve at one point in that same particular pose. A lot of folks were mad when one of those animated movies came out and then they drew Nightwing like that. I'm like, oh my god, what an outrage! They're sexualizing him. Have you noticed the shit that happens regularly in posters?
Well, yeah, just make it equal opportunity. I like looking at asses, but just have it go, both ways. Give a treat to everybody.
You would think that would be the hype, but they don't like doing that in Hollywood for some reason.
Yeah.
That was a very funny speech.
Oh God, yeah.
All of his monologues, I think, are enjoyable throughout the whole movie.
It's so great. I love everybody in this movie with the cheesiness they all bring, but I do want to finish off just once again praising Raul Julia.
Absolutely. He was the MVP.
Absolutely. And you know, this could have been something where I think people were like, really, this was his last movie, but you know, he did it in such a way that nobody has ever forgotten his performance in this.
Exactly. Because I guarantee if you poll folks, the person that they say they remember first is going to be Bison.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows that, you know, Jean Claude was in there also playing another star in his role, but nah, he's not what comes to mind first. Not at all.
Yeah, I would be interested to find out, you know, like
that would be
what was
very interesting to find out. Oh man, I didn't even think about that because there are parts that he very much could have ad-libbed.
I mean, there's so much like absurdity in some of his line deliveries that you're just like, did he come up with that on the spot? Or
I would not put it past him.
Or at the very least, there is, I guarantee you, like, even if for stuff that wasn't ad-libbed, there's no way the writers probably envisioned, you know,
them coming out the way he put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, such greatness, such greatness.
I mean, no writer can write his delivery of "It was Tuesday."
It was Tuesday. And he was so nonchalant about it. Just, I mean, I realize, you know, the day you met me, like your whole worldview changed. I get it, boo. I know. I get it. But for me, that was just Tuesday, though. I
love how if you go onto iTunes, you know, like every movie that's available for purchase either has like a trailer or a clip from a movie to preview, and that scene is the preview for this movie. It's like they know how to sell this.
Well warranted, exactly. That's good marketing right there. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's a good note to end on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and like I honestly, when we talked about doing this, I wasn't sure like if we could take up a whole 2 hours talking about the movie, but
if we wanted to, we legit could be here for a whole other hour. Honestly, there's still things that we could tap into and theorize about what could have happened and what maybe might happen if they ever do a sequel. It's there's much and more, as they say.
But no, thanks, AJ, because I had so much fun talking about this with you. And
same. Thank you. I'm honestly glad that we had that discussion on Twitter. Because if you guys didn't know, that this all came about from us waxing poetic about our cheesy childhood movies. And John was like, yeah, you know what? We need to do a thing. So here we are, and I love it. It's always a fun time chatting with you and geeking out over these art things that we love. So thank you again for the invite.
Yeah, no, my favorite times that I have doing these streams are always just when I get to talk with friends where we're just like, you know, having a really goofy fun time, you know, riffing and talking about our joyous love of something, and this was the perfect example of that, where, you know, I love that we were just basically going through the movie and talking talking about all our favorite bits, and yeah, it's so great. So thank you again, and yeah, looking forward to when we get some Mortal Kombat, which hopefully won't be too far in the future, and hopefully we will have Blue Lemons to join us for that one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And yeah, and thanks, Eric, for staying with us throughout the entire stream. This would have been fun enough, AJ, if it was just you and me, you know, talking about this. But it's I'm glad we could provide a fun time for a couple other people as well. And
thank you to Kate and Kelly also. Kelly has also not seen this movie. I need you guys to go have a heaping helping of this cheese.
Yeah, like, and I know it's like it's not going to be the same for people who didn't like grow up with this,
Yeah, yeah,
but
true.
hopefully you can still appreciate the. I think in the Slack, Eric posted that it may have come out in the 90s, but this was like the last cheesy 80s movie.
Low key, yeah.
I feel like that's entirely fair, and yeah. Um,
Street Fighter watch party. Oh yeah, we were gonna do
yeah,
one of those.
we were going to. It didn't come together, but no, we'll play. I will say I want them to do a new remastering of this movie because
Oh yeah,
this is not looking so great.
yeah. Show,
You
show
know,
me this scene in 4K, please.
yeah, they definitely need to upgrade the quality of the film, do a 4K remastering. So you know, fingers crossed that we get that at some point.
Definitely, yeah.
Um, Universal really needs to ask my input on what movies they need to revisit because I've got a list of them, and I was just posting on Twitter earlier today about how they need to get on, you know, those Keira Knightley movies that I love so much. So they need to do those, and then Street Fighter is the next one.
Yep.
After
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So, all right.
So come on, Universal, get your act together.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that'll be it. Just real quick, once again, next week we'll be talking about Kill Bill Volume 2, and
Yep.
AR will be with us again. So tune in for that at 7 p.m. Eastern next Saturday. Tomorrow on Here Be Dragons, I'll be talking with Stev and our special guest, Jolie. We'll be talking about the original Jurassic Park.
Nice.
So we're continuing the 90s trend. Yeah, so tune in for that as well. That'll be at 6:00 tomorrow. So yeah, and anything you want to say real quick, plug in or otherwise?
Yeah, just a reminder. Tuesday, me, DJ, and Fandom will be chatting about Morbius, the movie. I think we might be doing something Thursday too. Not sure. We're just trying to figure out what TV show we want to tackle next. We just ran through. We got done with Kaleidoscope on Netflix not too long ago. Very good one. And we did Poker Face before that too with Natasha Lyonne's really, really, really good show. Let's see, coming up, Jackbox Game Night. Not this coming Friday, but the Friday after. Be on the Citadel of Trivia channel. And there's a few other things coming up. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens when it happens.
Yeah, and keep me apprised of when there might be that.
Yes, we need
ale
to do the ginger ale tier list. Absolutely. Yeah, once I start figuring that out, we'll pick tentative Friday night, but more than likely Saturday night. Usually works a little better for folks. We'll see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know when you have an idea, and then we can plan ahead. So
definitely.
I'll take that week off so that we can do that, and that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so thank you, everybody who watched this live and is watching later. Hope you guys have a great night or day whenever you're watching this. And we will see you next week. Have a great night.
Later.